Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Crossroads Church Online. And we're glad you're joining us today. And whatever your church experience looks and feels like today, we hope you feel blessed and loved as you engage with us throughout this next hour. So we're kicking things off with worship. And I find that I've been having to look to God more and more this season and affirm that He is still in control. That nothing that happens out there can affect the promise and the plans that God has for me or the way He's speaking and moving in here. There's just a reminder that Moses tells his people in Deuteronomy 4:39, where he says, "Acknowledge and take to heart this day that the Lord is God in heaven above and on the earth below. There is no other." And that's the truth of what we sing today, that God is God everywhere, and He alone is worthy of our trust. Let's sing.
How can I say it is well when my voice can barely speak? How can I sing you a song in the midst of suffering? Jesus, will you meet me here? Let your peace wash over me, 'cause I need you now more than ever. Teach my soul to sing. My God is still in control, and still He reigns on His throne. Though mountains may tremble and sea billows roll, I'll sing it is well with my soul. My God is still in control. You have not left me alone, though the world has let me down, and all of my sorrow and pain, I will trade it for a crown. Thank you for staying with me when the night was closing in. Whatever I'll sing, it is well with my soul. My God is still in control. My God is still in control.
It's great to be together today, and there is some really fantastic stuff going on here in our Crosswinds family that I wanted to tell you about. Families with Kiddos, Sunday Camp is starting. This will run during the same time as our in-person adult service on Sundays, and it will look very similar to our normal pre-COVID Sunday morning kids experience, but everything will take place outside. That's why we're calling it Sunday Camp. We're opening this for children aged kindergarten through 5th grade, and they will be in the same age organized groups each week with the same leader and maintaining social distancing. We're so excited to welcome kids back to campus on Sunday mornings. Then in just a couple of weeks, it will be Easter weekend, and you are invited. On Friday, April 2nd, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., here on campus, we are hosting a guided experience that we're calling our Good Friday Pilgrimage. This is a self-guided hike around our campus, complete with a special Crosswinds-provided audio soundtrack that will take you on the path that Jesus walked during his last days before the crucifixion. We believe it's going to be so meaningful to experience this journey in person and outside, so everyone is invited to join in. You don't need to sign up, just come with a smartphone and a pair of earbuds and we'll take care of the rest. Once again, that's Friday, April 2nd from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then comes Easter Sunday. As always, you can experience our Easter service online through our on-demand platforms. Our team is hard at work on an awesome, impactful online experience that you'll love and will be available starting that morning for you and your family to enjoy on your own schedule. We're also doing an in-person outdoor Easter service on Sunday, April 4th at 9 a.m. As always, we ask that you register online the week of that service. Visit crosswindschurch.org, click the banner at the top to let us know that you're coming to that. Finally, we are so grateful for how you've continued your generosity in the midst of such unusual times. There are 3 ways that you can give to Crosswinds. You can mail a check, you can give online through our website, or you can text the number on your screen. Well, today we are heading into week 2 of our series, Jesus Clears His Throat, where we're studying the last words of Jesus. And today, Chris Coli is talking about abandonment and what we can learn from Jesus' statement, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Check this out.
It didn't used to feel this way. Before, when I was thriving, my days were filled. My heart beat strong. But lately, I have felt like these. The weeds in my soul unattended, and the shine of satisfaction dulled to a dim memory. Where life and laughter used to echo against my walls, now it's silence, loneliness, no one. The places of dance and celebration have grown quiet. Empty rooms hung with chandeliers for no one to notice. Where community filled me, empty seats now glare back. I can't find my way out of here. Is anyone listening? The decay is deafening. I don't want to speak of isolation, but I can't deny my sense of being forsaken. Chipped peeling paint marks the spaces that used to be intact. Does anyone still care? Is anyone like me? In my desolation, even God is far away.
So a number of years ago, I learned a new skill from my father-in-law that was something that had been kind of foreign to me. I have always been a finisher. I finish any book, any show, any movie that I start. You know what I'm talking about? How many of you, like me, you start a movie, you never get up and leave, even if it's bad? I have sat through the worst movies in the history of filmmaking. Did anybody see Biodome? The Pauly Shore, Stephen Baldwin movie? I sat through the whole thing. The last movie I caught in a theater before the pandemic shut theaters down, this is embarrassing, Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. Took my 16-year-old daughter to see that dark, supernatural, almost horror film based on the TV series from the 70s. The real horror was later realizing that if movie theaters don't make it through the pandemic, the last film I'll have seen in a theater was Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. But I sat through the whole thing because I'm a finisher. The worst is when I do this with TV shows. I have seen every episode of The X-Files, had to keep watching all the way to the end, way past when it was good. Same thing with 24, 9 seasons. Jack Bauer had 9 really bad 24-hour days. And after a while, they all seemed alike. I couldn't tell one season from another. And I didn't care. I watched every single one so that I could finish. So, a few years ago, we're visiting my father-in-law at his house in Southern California, and he needed to return some DVDs to Redbox, or wherever he got them. And he had like 5 DVDs sitting there, and I asked, "How many movies did you watch last night?" And he said, "1. I just rent 5 different movies, and then I watch the first 10 minutes of one, and if it's not good in 10 minutes, I shut it off and I put on another one, and I keep going till I find something good." And I was blown away. As a finisher, I was appalled and shocked because even if it's bad, you finish. That's your responsibility. As a TV watcher, as a moviegoer, as a book reader, you finish. But I was also intrigued. What would it be to live in a world where you only catch the beginning of something or the first half of something and you don't care about the rest? How much time would it save to be able to turn things off, put them down? And so I have been practicing books, movies, TV shows during this pandemic. If I don't like them or like where they're going, I stop watching, and I'm finding that my world is better for it. Now, here's the problem with giving up on being a finisher. Because I get out early, I might be missing something that's got a slow start but turns out pretty spectacular. It's very possible, and I have to live in the knowledge that I could be missing something amazing because I gave up way too soon. I might have misunderstood where something was going to go, and it would have turned out wonderful. But I've realized I'm okay with that because it's only a movie, it's only a book, a TV show. It's not the end of the world. Well, what if I told you that some of the most important final words of Jesus we're going to look at today have been very confusing for people, and in fact, at times, downright misleading. They've caused a lot of heartache and doubt. But what if I were to tell you that part of the reason that people have so much struggle because of these words is because they have given up reading before the end of the book, the movie. People didn't finish. These words we're going to look at today are the kind of words that if you don't read them to the finish, they mess with you and they confuse your faith. And they can actually do more damage than good. The words we're going to look at today are some words spoken by Jesus as he hung on the cross. Words that you don't even have to be a real big Bible reader to be familiar with. You don't have to have grown up in church. We're going to talk about the moment on the cross when Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me?" I don't know what thoughts have come to your mind when you've seen that passage or heard it before. Maybe you've wondered what I've wondered, asked what I've asked. How does the God who's omnipresent, the God that we talk about being everywhere, not show up at the cross? How does Jesus say that omnipresent God is not around? He's not present in this moment on the cross. Or maybe you've thought, isn't Jesus God himself? If Jesus is fully God, how could Jesus as God say, "God, where are you?" He's there. You're him. Maybe you've been able to get past both of those things. Your issue's more of a moral one. How does God the Father send his son to die on a cross, an innocent man, and then abandon him in the middle of his worst hour? How does a God who is love, who promises to be by our side, how does a father who asks so much of his son leave? How does a son who's been this obedient and going to the cross experience that kind of loneliness? The big question, where is God in this moment? How do you make sense of that? So this isn't just kind of philosophical, theological busy work. This isn't just stuff we noodle around with and maybe let it spark interesting conversation. These questions actually matter. Because the question that a smart person starts to ask is, how do I know for real that God won't forsake me? I am much less gifted. I am much less important. I am much less innocent than Jesus. How am I to know that God won't forsake me? And for some of you, certainly, there have been some times where it feels like he has. Maybe you've been through some pretty terrible things. Maybe you're going through some right now as we speak. Something with your health that is not going to get better. Someone in your family you've lost or might be getting close to losing. Something's been done to you by other people that never should have been done. Maybe you've lost a job or lost a home or lost a spouse, lost a child. In the middle of that moment, you cried out, God, where are you? Why have you left me? My God, why have you forsaken me? What happened? And you've asked the question, does God forsake people that he loves? Does he care? Is he here? And we're going to try and answer that today. Where was he for Jesus? Where is he for you? But let me tell you, to get to the answers, you got to be a finisher. You can't read one line, my God, and then give up. You've got to understand every thought Jesus had on the cross up until the very end. You've got to hear his whole prayer. And when you do, you will find answers to where God is. So, I want to ask you to open your Bibles with me and read something in its fullness that maybe you've never read before. We're going to open to Psalm 22. And this is one of those days you're going to want to grab a Bible and have it in front of you. So grab one, pause the video if you need to, go get it. If you don't have a Bible at home, you can always pull these up on the internet nowadays. You might even grab a pen if you have a hard copy Bible. You might want to write in the Bible today as we do this. Up to you, your call if you want to do that. Psalm 22, we're going to answer today the question of where is God when Jesus is on the cross, and where is he when you feel forsaken? And as you get to Psalm 22, I should say, you may think it's odd that we're opening to the Psalms. Jesus is in the Gospels, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, first chapter of Acts, maybe. Chris, it's weird you're having us open to Psalm 22. You are right. It's weird. Weird in an awesome, amazing way. David wrote Psalm 22. David wrote a lot of Psalms, and he wrote it about himself. Now, we don't know when he wrote it. Unlike other Psalms, it doesn't say at the top that he wrote this when he was hiding in a cave, or he wrote this when he was feeling bad about the affair he had with Bathsheba. It doesn't say. All it says is that it was written by David. Oh, and it says it was written to the tune of the doe of the morning. That old classic. In case you don't know how that goes, it went like, the doe of the morning. Okay, I'm just kidding. We have no idea how it goes. Let me just read to you David's words. 1,000 years before Jesus, he writes a poem, this is a song, to describe how bad things have gotten for him. We're not going to read every single verse, but I'm going to ask you to follow along here and there. And he starts with verse 1, Psalm 22, verse 1. My God, why have you forsaken me? My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me? So far from the words of my groaning? My God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night, I find no rest. Wow, that's odd, isn't it? David and Jesus use the same words to talk about God and question where he is. I mean, how could that be? What would make you say something exactly like somebody else said it to the exact word? I mean, maybe you say, oh God, where are you right now? But to say, my God, and then to say it again, my God, why have you forsaken me? That's just weird. Well, it gets weirder. Look at verse 6. But I am a worm, not a human being. I am scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Now, David writes that about his own circumstance. It's 1,000 years before Jesus is born. But doesn't that sound very similar to what Jesus is going through on the cross? They mock Jesus. They hurl insults at him. They shake their heads at him. They cry out, if you're really God, save yourself. All right, look at verse 12. Many bulls surround me. Roaring lions that tear their prey open their mouths wide against me. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It is melted within me. My mouth is dried up. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. You know, David has a way with words. Again, we don't know when David wrote this. And again, he's a poet, he's a songwriter. It's not literal, it's a metaphor. I mean, his bones are not literally all out of joint. His blood has not been poured out like water. If that were true, he couldn't have done the work of writing this poem. But what's weird is these wouldn't be metaphorical if they were the words of Jesus, right? Look at verse 16. Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. They pierce my hands and my feet. All my bones are on display. People stare and they gloat over me. They divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment. Okay, something is happening here. This is not just coincidence. Jesus did not just accidentally happen to say the same words David did at the beginning of his psalm. My God, why have you forsaken me? See, what's happening is Jesus on the cross is praying David's prayer. Get this. 1,000 years earlier, David writes a prayer about himself, full of symbolism. He's had a bad day, and he expresses it in a psalm. But this song, is not a normal song. It is supernaturally inspired, and it is written so that 1,000 years later, when Jesus prays it, it is literal. And here's the thing. It gives us a glimpse into the state of mind that Jesus experienced in his final moments on the cross. See, Jesus did not just pray, my God, why have you forsaken me? He prayed all of Psalm 22. And if you just read verse 1, then you haven't finished. If you think that Jesus just yelled out, God, where are you? Then you will never understand that in the rest of this prayer, Jesus answered his own question. All right. In case I have lost you, let me explain this better. I think most of you understand the events that happened to attach Jesus to this cross, right? The Bible tells us they put 2 huge spikes through his wrists and another through his feet. The soldiers hung him up there, and the only thing holding him onto the cross were these spikes, keeping him in place. Forget about the pain for a moment. In this moment he's on the cross, it was even difficult for Jesus to breathe. Since his whole body weight was supported by his outstretched arms, it made it so his chest and his lungs fell forward. To take a breath, Jesus would have had to pull himself up by his arms. Usually a person being crucified would die when they could no longer do that, and eventually they would just asphyxiate. So knowing that, think about this. Speaking, carrying on a conversation, it would have been an incredible struggle on the cross. You just couldn't do it. Maybe you could get out a word or a phrase or a sentence, but you would not see someone on the cross praying a 5-minute out loud prayer. You would not hear great speeches from the cross. What you might hear are some final words that begin a prayer that someone else wrote. What you might hear is a prayer that starts out loud but continues without spoken words. A prayer that continues in the mind and the heart of a dying man. Jesus, hanging on the cross, barely able to speak or breathe, prays this very descriptive prayer written by David. Written at a time when crucifixion hadn't even been invented. And if you want to know where God is while Jesus is dying on the cross, if you want to know where God is in the middle of whatever you're going through, you've got to finish the psalm, because it's not over. Jesus' prayer didn't end at, my God, why have you forsaken me? But unfortunately, there are some verses in Psalm 22 that we never get to. Let me show you where God is. Let's finish the psalm. Look at verse 4. This is not just David. Jesus prays In you, God, our ancestors put their trust. They trusted, and you delivered them. They cried to you and were saved. In you they trusted and were not disappointed. Do you see that? Yes, Jesus opens with, God, where are you? But then 3 verses later, he prays, God, when our ancestors trusted you, you delivered. God, you save. As we trust, you do not disappoint. God, you deliver even from death. Look at verse 19. It says, but you, Lord, do not be far from me. You are my strength. Come quickly to help me. Look, this prayer is not just one of despair. It's one of hope that God will come near. It says it right there. Let me give you another very forgotten part of this passage that you need to see. Look at verse 22. I will declare your name to my people. In the assembly I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him, honor him, revere him. All right, Jesus starts with, God, where are you? But now he's praying, God, I praise you. Why? Well, look at this, verse 24. For he has not despised or scorned the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden his face, but has listened to my cry for help. Look, he has not hidden his face. On the cross, Jesus asked the question many of us ask, God, where are you? Father, where are you? I need you right now. But Jesus also answers it. God is still here. He has not turned his back. He is not done. He hears the cries and he has a plan. You may not see him, but he is here. And to you today who are going, where is God? He is not here. Why hasn't he come? Why has he left me? You have not finished your psalm yet. You are on verse 1. Your psalm is not over. There's an old folk tale about an old man who was the poorest man in the village. He was the poorest man, but he owned the most beautiful white stallion. And the king had offered him a small fortune for this stallion. Well, after an incredibly harsh winter during which the old man and his family nearly starved, the townspeople came to visit. Old man, they said, you can hardly afford to feed your family. Sell the stallion and you'll be rich. If you do not, you are a fool. It's too early to tell, replied the old man. A few months later, the old man woke up to find that the white stallion had run away. Once again, the townspeople came. They said to the old man, see, if you had sold the king your horse, you would be rich. Now you have nothing. You are a fool. The old man said, it's too early to tell. 2 weeks later, the white stallion returned, and along with it came 3 other white stallions. Old man, the townspeople said, we're the fools. Now you can sell the stallion to the king, and you'll still have 3 stallions left. You are smart. It's too early to tell, said the old man. The following week, the old man's son, his only son, was breaking in one of those stallions, and he was thrown, crushing both of his legs. And the townspeople paid a visit to the old man, and they said, old man, if you had just sold the old stallion to the king, you'd be rich, and your son would not be crippled. You are a fool. It's too early to tell, said the old man. Well, the next month, war broke out with the neighboring village. All the young men in the village were sent into the battle, and all of them were killed. The townspeople came and they cried to the old man, we have lost our sons. You are the only one who is not. If you had sold your stallion to the king, your son too would be dead. You are so smart. It's too early to tell, said the old man. To those of you who look at those words of Jesus on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? And you believe that God was gone, that he gave up, that he was done with Jesus. Okay, it was too early to tell. Because 3 days later, God proves that he saves. He comes through. He delivers even from death. And for those of you who are saying, God, where are you? Where are you? Why aren't you here? Why aren't you working in my life? Why have you abandoned me? It is too early to tell. Your psalm is not over. Your psalm is not over. You have got to finish. You are on verse 1, but don't forget about verse 5 that God delivers. And don't forget about verse 24 that God has not hidden his face from you. He's listening. And I haven't even mentioned this yet, but don't forget about verse 31. Look at verse 31, the last verse, the way that David closes this prayer. He says, these delivered people, these people that God comes through for, they will proclaim his righteousness to people who are not even born yet. Future generations will be talking about the time that God came through. And then he closes with this line. He has done it. He has done it. It is over. It is done. God wins. He delivers. He saves. It is finished. Andrea is going to talk about those 3 words next week. We're not going to go into them right now, but let me just point out, that's how the psalm ends. He has done it. God has finished it. He has delivered. And what's not too early to tell is that he will somehow deliver you. If you are someone feeling abandoned and forsaken today, it's okay. There's no shame in that, no guilt trips. You feel forgotten. It's okay to have a verse 1. Just know it's too early to tell. There's more to your psalm. God will not abandon you. He will not forget you. Assuming you've asked forgiveness and received his grace, your sin went to the cross with Jesus. God has not given up on you. He loves you when you least expect it and least deserve it. But if you don't feel that, just know you're on verse 1, but your psalm is not over.
Daily, daily I surrender. Grace for today is all that I need. Oh, surprised by a mercy that's new every morning. Awaken my soul to sing. Awaken my soul to sing. I will trust where you lead, and I will trust when I can't see. Morning by morning, great is your faithfulness to me. Breath by breath, overtaken by wonder. One step at a time when I'm overwhelmed. Oh, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Awaken my soul to sing. Awaken my soul to sing. And I will trust where you I will trust when I can't see. Morning by morning, great is your faithfulness to me. I will trust with all my heart. You are good, always are. Morning by morning, great is your faithfulness. My future is secure. Oh, my Father has spoken, and he keeps his every word. Oh, fear, be reminded, my future will trust when I can't see. Morning by morning, great is your faithfulness to me. I will trust where you lead. I will trust when I can't see it. Morning by morning, great is your faithfulness to me. I will trust with all my heart. You are good, you always are. Morning by morning, great is your faithfulness to me. Oh, morning by morning, great is your faithfulness to me. Yeah. Oh, morning by morning, great is your faithfulness to me. And I will trust where you lead. I will trust when I can't see. Morning by morning, great is your faithfulness to